Hey everyone, welcome back. Mr. Holder here. I want to take you through this next video just to kind of get you familiar with the Adobe Illustrator interface because it's a little bit intimidating when you first see it, but I'm hoping in this video to kind of take you through and show you the different things that you should be concerned with and tell you the things that you can most likely avoid using that you probably aren't going to use in most cases with Illustrator. That at least can get you started, and then later on when you're more comfortable with Illustrator you can start exploring different things and see what they do. So here we have the file that I used for the opening and saving video that I did. If you're coming off that video, you saw how we could save under the file menu and do different save formats and opening and document setup. So now we're using the same file just to kind of go through and look at the different tools and bells and whistles that come with Adobe Illustrator CS6. And I'm just going to start off with on the left side of the screen here with the tool bar, the tool palette as it's called, and then kind of work my way around in a clockwise format, take you through each thing. If you've seen my Photoshop video, it's very similar to this. Photoshop, of course, is an Adobe program, so the developers at Adobe have created their software so they have a similar feel to it. So if you've been in Photoshop before, it has a very similar feel, but there's quite a bit of differences and some similarities to it. But of course, you should probably know by now that Illustrator is a vector-based program. It doesn't use pixels to display its artwork, so you can zoom in and out and print at different sizes as long as it's vector artwork. Basically till the cows come home, and it's still going to hold its quality and look good because it doesn't use pixels. It uses mathematical formulas to be able to display that, and that's why we call that vector. Whereas Photoshop does use pixels, but it can get more detailed, more finite, photorealistic outcomes with Photoshop, and that's why you would want to use Photoshop to edit different things like photography and more finite details. So let's start off, look at the left here. Just like in Photoshop, you'll notice that the tools that Adobe has set up are in groups, and they're divided by that very inconspicuous line there that you can hardly see, but just to kind of tell you that those are grouping things. So our first things are going to be our move and our selection tools. We have a magic wand tool, which I don't use a whole lot of to make my selections in Illustrator because I'm building logos and that type of thing. So most of the things that I'm selecting and choosing are going to be with the black arrow or the select tool. So if I click that, it's going to obviously select artwork that I have that's not locked down on my layers. If I do a direct select tool, I can select different things on a layer. Layers work quite a bit differently than they do in Photoshop, and I'll talk about that in a second. But the difference really between the two is that I could select large groups of artwork with the black arrow tool or the select tool, and more finite groups of artwork with just the white arrow tool, and adjust anchor points and that type of thing. Then we have all of our different vector drawing tools. This is probably where you're going to be spending most of your time in Illustrator. You have things like the pen tool, and if I click and hold, different tools that are embedded within the pen tool. The pen tool basically is a way of adding different anchor points. So if I click between two anchor points, it's going to draw my vector line segment, and when I close off that, I can make different vector shapes with the pen tool. So the pen tool is great for doing custom shapes and so on. The text tool looks just like the text tool in Photoshop, and it operates almost the same as the text tool in Photoshop. If I click that and I click on my artboard, I can type whatever I want to, and it's going to show up. It's also, believe it or not, vector in Photoshop as well. It's one of the few vector tools in Photoshop. So when you're typing type in Photoshop, it is typing it out in a vector format, and then when you output in something like a JPEG, it turns it into a rasterized pixel graphic. So okay, so moving my way down here, you have a line tool, you have the different basic shape tools, which is really cool because if you're not the best artist, you can start off with basic shapes and use a feature in CS6 that's been around for a little while called the Pathfinder palette that gives you different capability of combining and cutting out basic shapes to make more complex shapes. You have a brush tool, which I don't use a whole lot of. Some people prefer using it to paint brush type strokes and that type of thing that are vector based, and then you have a pencil tool and eraser tool. But you're probably going to be spending most of your time using the line tool, the shape tool, the text tool, and the pen tool. This next group here are all different special abilities that have sort of grown with the different evolution of Illustrator software and versions that are out there. For example, you have a 3D tool, you have gradient mesh, different things like that that you can experiment with. I don't want to go into a whole lot of that because you could spend a whole 10-15 minutes talking about one of these tools, but I just want to take you through the interface quickly. You have the gradient tool and an eyedropper, which the eyedropper works much like it does in Photoshop by sampling different colors and that type of thing. You have things like the symbol sprayer tool, which I think is a little hokey and doesn't work very well, but you can experiment with that. Charts, different ways of adjusting your artboard tool, which I think is just fine by going up to document setup. You do have what looks to be, if you're familiar with Photoshop, a foreground and background color. Only in Illustrator is now called the fill color and the stroke color. So stroke being your line weight color. If you look at my AI example here, my fill color is orange and my stroke on the outside is black. And so if I were to click one of these graphics by itself, you'll notice that it automatically shows me that the fill is orange and the outline is black. So that can be changed from here or up in my color palette over here, which I'll talk about in a second. So that's the toolbar. And that's a little bit about the toolbar and things that you can expect to see in the toolbar. The next thing I want to take you to is the tool options bar, which is nested right beneath the menu bar along the top, and that changes just like it does in Photoshop depending on what tool you have selected. So if you kind of pay attention to the tool options bar here, if I go to text and I choose text, or I choose something on my desktop, it's going to adjust what it is I'm trying to make changes to. So if I grab my text tool and I type out some text, I can double click that and make changes to my text. So you'll see I have a text options bar here, much like Photoshop, that lets me change the font style, size, etc., even color and stroke color. The next bar above that is your menu bar, and you got several different menu options here. Your window menu handles what panels are going to be showing up, and it's listed in an alphabetical format. You know, if I want to see the gradient, I can click that and the gradient palette's going to pop up and bring out that little sort of a flyout menu. So there's all different types of panels on the right here, but there's a heck of a lot more that you can open up if you go to the window menu. And then you have your view menu that takes you to the different viewing options in Illustrator, and then some effects, both in vector-based effects, which would be under Illustrator effects, and then you also have different Photoshop effects, so rastered pixel-based effects that you can apply to your vector graphics if you choose. And then you have different select choices under the select menu type, etc. So it's pretty self-explanatory on what these different menus have in terms of, you know, your choices and options. Then over here on the right side, you have your panels. If you hover over those buttons, just like you would in Photoshop, it's going to tell you what those panels do. So if you're looking to change the color, you can do that from here. If you want to go to something like the color guide, which is a really neat way to see different palettes of colors that look like they go together and that type of thing. That's a wonderful tool that they've added since CS4, I believe. And then you have different ways of setting up swatches, setting up custom swatches and saving it in your swatch palette. And then you have a brush palette like you would in Photoshop. I do want to point out here that these palettes have palettes embedded within them too. So for example, if I click on the swatches palette, the brushes palette's there too, and you can see it kind of groups them up that way. Palettes in Illustrator, like Photoshop, you can pull off the tab and have that palette isolated. So you could set up custom interfaces. If you're using colors an awful lot, you can do some custom modifications to that and just pull out palettes that you use on a regular basis and actually save those different user setups if you want. To bring palettes back, for example, if I close the swatches palette, I just need only go to the window menu and choose swatches and it will bring it right back. So sometimes that'll get closed. Another thing you can do to reset your interface if you start losing palettes, and that happens a lot with beginners, is we start pulling the different palettes off, and then once they start covering up things, we tend to hit the little X and close those palettes. Well, the palettes are no longer there, so what you want to do is go back to the window menu and find those palettes. But I think it's just as easy to go up to Essentials and reset your entire workspace just by going Reset Essentials. And what that'll do is it'll load Adobe Illustrator back to the way it was, to its factory user interface, like it was when you first installed Adobe Illustrator for the first time. Then of course you have a layers palette. I have another video that I cover in greater detail about layers, but they are different in Adobe Illustrator, and you have sub-layers embedded within that, which is kind of the major difference, I think, there, and I'll talk more about that in the layers tutorial. The last part is your preview pane. Of course, this is where your artwork's going to be. If you don't have anything open, it's just going to be blank, and you'll see nothing there, but you can open up a file in Illustrator and see the information that's in for that particular file, kind of like you would in Photoshop. So for example, here you can see the name of the file. You can also see that I'm viewing it at 100%, and it's also showing me my color mode that I'm in CMYK preview, and that's pretty much it, whereas Photoshop will actually tell you what the pixel dimensions are. It'll tell you the name of the file, but it'll also tell you the file size. So that's pretty much it about the user interface. Again, it's the toolbar, the tool options bar, the menu bar, the palette bar, and the preview pane. And we'll see you on the next video. Good luck.